Hi. One of the best ways to analyze a stock is to see it through the eyes of another industry. It can give you fresh perspective. Like which industry? Like tech stocks. I'd rather see them as oil and gas stocks. But see how? Like this. Imagine you look at the annual report of an oil and gas company, and you see that the company has $100 million worth of oil and gas in the ground, what's commonly called P&P, or proven and probable reserves. The company also has cash flow from current producing properties. Now, how do you value the stock? You can, of course, value it as a multiple of the current cash flow. But is that it? What of future cash flow? This, of course, is a function of the oil and gas assets in the ground. But wait, how did the company create this oil in the ground? Why? The company drilled for it. There was a drilling budget during the last few years. Ideally, the company found much more oil value in dollars than its exploration spending. How much more? That, of course, depends on the quality of its geologists and the drilling team. In other words, an oil and gas company is evaluated both on its current cash flow and on its future cash flow, which depends on the oil and gas in the ground produced by spending part of its past cash flow on drilling. Now, why do I bring all this up regarding tech stocks? Because for me, a tech stock is often similar to an oil and gas company. It has cash flow from past R&D spendings, but will also have future cash flow due to recent R&D spending, which you can view as drilling for new products. And it's here that past R&D spendings can be compared to oil and gas drilling in two ways. The first way, you can do wildcat drilling. That is, you can aim to find new oil when your geologist has a hunch, and often he's right, and they drill in a new place. He has to be right or he wouldn't keep his job. And the comparison to tech is this. Similar to oil and gas, tech engineers who develop new technology via R&D can be seen as drilling for knowledge. But the analogy doesn't stop here. There's a second way. Besides drilling for new oil, wildcat fashion, you can also drill a side well, also known as a step well, to tap into an existing reservoir that you have. This can increase the oil flow and cash flow, or even extend the life of the reservoir from probable to proven, and with much less risk. And it is the same in tech R&D. The R part is wild eyes search for new technology. Yes, you can find an elephant, like a totally new type of microchip, but it's riskier. Or you can simply spend dollars to make your existing tech and product better. The second part is D, development, that can be compared to step well, improving an existing technology. So how can this analogy help you pick cheap tech stocks better? Like this. Usually R&D usefulness lasts between 3 to 5 years before the world moves on and the R&D turns stale. So I usually look at the R&D spending of the last 3 years as the rough values of the company technology, also called IP, intellectual property. Now assume a tech company has spent $100 million in each of the last 3 years on R&D. A first rough estimate is that the resulting technology is worth $300 million. That is, if the technology developed a good new product and clients buy it, any competitors would have to spend at least that to compete with them, and also spend administration and sales. Well, assume the product development, the R&D, took longer than expected, which it usually does, and the stock, as a result, has declined so much that the market cap, less the cash plus the debt, that is the enterprise value, is only $150 million, less than the spending on the technology the last 3 years. Is the stock then a bargain? This depends on what the R&D was spent on. Was it on R, that is wildcat tech drilling, or was it D, that is enhancing the company's existing product based on customers' requests? Obviously, the second is much more valuable. So assume you see a tech stock whose past 3 years of R&D is now selling at a discount. Is it a buy? It depends. On what? On what the clients say about the spending, on how good they say the engineers are. Same as in an oil and gas company. If the R&D is mostly D, step wells, you can view it almost as an oil in the ground, which you can buy cheaply. That is, it's a real property you can own. If it's mostly R, it's more of a spec, wildcat blue sky research, although if past record of the engineers have been good, you can hit it big too. just like some oil drillers can. Now, who has good record in converting R&D into products? Well, Steve Jobs of Apple had, also Mark Zuckerberg of Meta, as well as the folks at Microsoft and Adobe and a few more. How do I know that? What do you think? I asked around. I sleuthed among other engineers. If you too want to find out about the value of a company R&D, you should sleuth it out too. Turn off the internet, talk to the customers, to buddies of the engineers, and get a fix on the value of that R&D you see in the annual report. But first, you must find a company whose enterprise value is lower than the last 3-year R&D spending. That's quite a bit of work, isn't it? Yes, it is. Is it worthwhile? Is it ever? This sort of method brought out Meta's 5-bagger last year, going on to 6. Look at my past clips, as well as a few others. Fate Pharmaceuticals, FATE, rose more than 3 times in less than a year, as did Novavax and VAX. See my previous clips. All this is documented. Now, which other companies are there in that region? There are 2, both of which I mentioned before. The first company with huge R&D spending now selling at a discount is LPSN, Live Person, a company using AI to automate conversation with customer. It has predictable product cycles. The product cycle is about 4 or 5 years, and that's also the average difference between the stock bottom and the stock peak. That's how fast the technology reservoir, based on the R&D already done, gets exhausted, and the company must start drilling again for technology, doing R&D. Please look at the chart and freeze it. As you can see, every time in the past, and there have been 3.5 product cycles already, the stock peak was higher than the previous one. What was the last peak? The last peak was $60. What the current price? 70 cents. Will the stock get $60 again or go even higher? That is 100-bagger in 4 to 5 years? This I won't tell you. You do the sleuthing and decide for yourself. But remember, if you do buy it, you'll have to wait 4 to 5 years and do nothing during these years. Just hold the stock and do nothing. Can you do nothing for 4 to 5 years? Very few can. But those who can see every 10 grand becoming 600 grand, or maybe 1 mil from 10 grand, or maybe a 0. Which is it? Sleuth it out to learn which. The second company whose R&D is selling at a discount is Illumin, or ILLM-T ticker, a Canadian company doing software for marketing. Based on its product cycle, it can be a 20-bagger, maybe more, but faster than Live Person, since its product cycle is shorter. So the stock cycle is shorter too, only 2 or 3 years compared to Live Person 5. But it may not get there, depending on what. You got it. On how good are the spendings, how much R, how much D. Well, how much was each? This I'd leave to you to find out yourself via your own sleuthing. But just to give you a foretaste of Illumin, here is the insider buying record of the stock. It's a chart with each insider buying purchase shown as a circle. Look at this chart and freeze it. As you can see, there has been a wild orgy of insider buying, both by individual insiders and by the company itself buying back almost a quarter of the shares and canceling them. So is Illumin a buy? It might be, but not before you do some sleuthing of your own, because I could be wrong, you know. That's all for today. Please let me know what you think of the above. Give it a like, subscribe to the channel, then retweet to all your friends, subscribers, and followers so they subscribe too, and buy my books, The Sleuth Investor, The Advanced Sleuth Investor, and give them a review on Amazon, which I hope will be a good one. I'll see you next time. And meantime, thank you very much for watching.